lot of questions after mass shootings tend to be what can be done, and proclamations that something has to be done. Do something. But what is that something? It's an interesting question. Some people focus on holistic approaches of socioeconomics when it comes to inner city crime or addressing mental illness, when it comes to young people acting out violently, when it comes to how to address domestic disturbances that can turn violent and even deadly. And others look at just the tools that are used in gun violence and focusing on how to restrict access to firearms, for instance. And we've got, of course, this debate heating up in a variety of aspects, and you're hearing some pretty strong words from members of Congress, and we'll touch on some of that. We'll also hear from the 6 Republican candidates at last night's ABC 7 Chicago debate, talking about what kind of measures can be put in place to address gun violence. But, of course, President Joe Biden yesterday talking about this in an address to the nation, and you're hearing it here with Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk at 7:13. You can always call in live and local, 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. If you want to chime in and answer that question, what is that something that needs to be done when it comes to gun violence? Again, 217-629-7970. But let's hear from President Joe Biden last night, just some of what he had to say during his address to the nation. Here he is at the podium at the White House.
For so many of you at home, I want to be very clear. This is not about taking away anyone's guns. It's not about vilifying gun owners. In fact, we believe we should be treating responsible gun owners as an example of how every gun owner should behave. I respect the culture and the tradition and the concerns of lawful gun owners. At the same time, the Second Amendment, like all other rights, is not absolute. It was Justice Scalia who wrote, and I quote, "Like most rights, the rights granted by the Second Amendment are not unlimited." Not unlimited. It never has been. There have always been limitations on what weapons you can own in America. For example, machine guns have been federally regulated for nearly 90 years, and this is still a free country. This isn't about taking away anyone's rights. It's about protecting children. It's about protecting families. It's about protecting whole communities.
So again, that's President Joe Biden. He also talked about how we have to do something and to act. I think he proposed either banning assault weapons, they call, or to limit who can actually access those, and as far as the age, moving it from 18 to 21. Take a few phone calls here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hello?
Yep, you're on the air.
I wouldn't take too much from Joe Biden. I don't think that idiot knows what room he's in. The problem with this country, and I've been watching it for years, is the way that children are raised in this country, especially boys. The fatherlessness, and we put them on drugs, and we were surprised when they turn into psychopaths. You can take a truck, just like they did in Paris, and run down 100 people and kill them.
Well, it happened in, Waukesha with a Christmas parade. Wasn't 100 people, but it was dozens that were run over, and a lot of people killed in that. Now, it again was a vehicle that was used. I appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Good morning. What's that something that needs to be done about gun violence? Good morning.
I'll tell you right now, Greg, it's remove all these Democrats, because this is their little game that they're playing, and they've been playing it for a long time. And if you listen to conservative sites and people out there, they've been talking about this happening for a long time. Lose an election, so what are they going to do? Bring up mass shootings and let's get rid of the guns. And let's get rid of this governor, too. He says nothing about all this stuff. Get rid of Democrats will solve your problems. I swear it will.
All right, well, that's some perspectives here from listeners. And again, you can always chime in live and local, 217-629-7970. Take another call before the break. But I do plan on airing a little bit more from Congress, and also last night's gubernatorial debate up in Chicago from ABC 7, where this question was posed to the 6 gubernatorial candidates. But good morning. You're on WMAY. It's 7:16. Good morning.
Well, good morning there. We're putting laws that affect the normal gun-owning citizen, like the ghost gun law, trying to make the citizens put serial numbers on and register, and they've already determined that registration of a firearm is against our constitutional rights. But what they're not understanding is the only thing that costs is the law-abiding citizens. We're the only ones that are going to actually register those. The criminals aren't going to do it, so they're still not going to be able to trace it. I've been trying for 3 years to explain to them that they just changed the policy on the FFL dealers that says if they manufacture a barrel for a firearm, they need to put a serial number on that. The bullet is the fingerprint of the firearm. You can trace it back to a barrel and where the barrel was sold to. You'd actually be able to trace the criminals that are creating these ghost guns and other firearms that they shouldn't have, which affects the criminals, not the law-abiding citizens.
And that seems to be a sustained criticism of gun control measures, is that they just focus on the law-abiding gun owners and restricting their access to firearms, while criminals are going to break laws. Any law that you put on the book, it's what ultimately makes them a criminal as they break that law. At least that's the criticism. So we'll hear more about this from up and down the government. You heard President Biden. We'll hear from a member of Congress, and then also the gubernatorial candidates, and Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell asked about this yesterday as well. So stay tuned. That's coming up here on Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News. And been talking about what that something is when people say do something about gun control. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk at 7:24. Again, you can chime in live and local, 217-629-7970. But a lot to review here, including a New York congressman, Representative Jones. He was in a committee yesterday in Congress, and he seemed to indicate what they plan on doing if there's some kind of blockade of sorts of trying to get what they want passed by Democrats when it comes to gun control. Here he is laying out some of what Democrats say they plan on doing with the courts, with the filibuster in the Senate, and so on.
Our lives the same as you did when you were kids, but we can't let you get away with this anymore. Enough is enough. Enough of you telling us that school shootings are a fact of life when every other country like ours has virtually ended it. Enough of you blaming mental illness and then defunding mental health care in this country. Enough of your thoughts and prayers. Enough. Enough. You will not stop us from advancing the Protecting Our Kids Act today. You will not stop us from passing it in the House next week, and you will not stop us there. If the filibuster obstructs us, we will abolish it. If the Supreme Court objects, we will expand it, and we will not rest until we have taken weapons of war out of circulation in our communities. Each and every day, we will do whatever it takes to end gun violence, whatever it takes. What we will do is not fail the children of this country the way that you have failed us, the generations of Columbine, Sandy Hook, Parkland, and Uvalde. I yield back, Madam Chair.
So again, even if he sees that the Senate blocks this, they'll try to end the filibuster. If it gets to the U.S. Supreme Court, they'll expand the court, he says. So interesting takes there. But what about in Illinois? Illinois's got some of the most strict gun laws in the country. You have to get a permit to concealed carry. You have to get a FOID card in order to purchase guns or ammo, let alone own such things in the state of Illinois. But the 6 candidates for Republican governor were on a stage last night, and they answered the question about what exactly is that something that can be done to curb gun violence. And here is, again, starting with State Senator Darren Bailey. You also have voices from Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin, State Senator Paul Schimpf, the businessman Gary Rabine, and also Max Solomon and Jesse Sullivan. So here are some of the responses to that question of what is that something that can be done from last night's GOP debate.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here tonight. And it is a tragedy across our nation. My heart breaks for the families and the friends of everyone who have been afflicted by these travesties. But here in Illinois, we have some of the most strictest gun laws in the nation. So I think it's obvious when I read these stories about what's taking place, I see young people crying out for help. And sometimes they go ignored by family, by our education system, by our civic groups. We must offer the mental health solutions and help these people to be able to get help and to be able to function in life. And I think that's the only solution we have.
Thank you. Mr. Irvin.
Thank you very much for inviting us today and allowing us to come and talk to the residents of Illinois about taking back our state and what we're going to do to improve Illinois. Now, as a mayor of the second largest city, I personally have dealt with a mass shooting where a worker in our city showed up and decided he wanted to shoot five of his fellow employees. And then as our police ran in, he shot 5 of our police officers. He killed his fellow employees. Now, listen, it was important to bring healing back to our community, and that's exactly what I did. But what we have to do is look at common sense. We've got to focus on safety, and we've got to focus on responsibility. Making sure that we keep these guns out of the hands of criminals and keep these guns out of the hands of people with mental illnesses. And that's why I'm getting support from police departments all throughout the state.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rabine.
Thank you for having us here. I appreciate it. I got to tell you, the one core value that I look upon that's so important is accountability. If we don't hold people accountable, we can't expect a lot of them. If we don't arrest people that are doing crime, small or large, that's a problem. They're not held accountable. If we don't put people in jail that deserve to be put in jail, there's no accountability. We're going to have a lot of problems, and we do in the city of Chicago. We have 4 times more murders last year than the city of New York. I mean, New York is no haven for safety. We had 4 times more murders. And when we have people that don't hold these criminals accountable, it's going to continue to happen. We have a state's attorney like Kim Foxx. This will never get cleaned up. So these are things we have to do. We have to change the environment, change the culture. Accountability is the thing we got to think about first.
Thank you. Mr. Schimpf.
Well, thank you for the question, Alan. Thank you to ABC 7 for hosting this debate. Thank you to my fellow candidates for being here. And thank you to all of you who are tuning in and watching and learning about the governor's race. We do have to take action on this. Leaders need to lead. But it's important that we listen first and figure out what solutions actually can help the situation. Leaders need to listen, and we have to do something about mental health. It is a huge issue. We also have to make our schools safer. But most importantly, we have to have a governor who is going to hold himself accountable and say enough is enough. And one of the things that I will do as your governor is, unless I have significantly reduced violence in Illinois, you will not see me run for re-election.
Thank you. Mr. Solomon.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, ABC 7, Telemundo, WLS. Ladies and gentlemen watching from home, my heart goes out once again to Uvalde, Texas, for the massacre that happened there. It's unacceptable. It's tragic. As your governor, the first thing I would do is make sure that all our schools, K through 12, are secured by armed guards. If we can protect our banks, if we can protect our Hollywood stars, we need to be able to protect our vulnerable ones, including the kids. As governor, I would make sure that every school is secured, and then we'll talk about safety and public safety, increase the budget for public safety to make sure that we take this matter seriously.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for having me tonight. I am a father to a bunch of young children, and so it does break my heart to see this. I've met so many families of young children that have been shot and killed right here in the city of Chicago, and we need to take action. And when I'm governor, I am going to crack down on crime again. You know, the Democrats use every excuse, every crisis to step in and try to say gun control is the answer. Well, the real problem is the liberal agenda. The liberal agenda that has been taking God and faith values out of our society, the liberal agenda that has been devaluing families and removing fathers and two-parent households as the core answer to the solution, that have just been in every way, you know, removing the most important factors that can get us back to a healthy society again. I am a true conservative, and I'm going to bring those values back into the government again when I am governor.
Again, that's the 6 candidates, courtesy of ABC 7 with their debate last night. It was an hour-long debate. That was obviously the first question that was asked about what is that something that can be done about gun violence. And it was also a question that was posed to Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell, who yesterday talked about the issue of gun violence and how to best combat that. He was asked about this yesterday by our WMAY Springfield Afternoon News host, Jim Leach, at an event where he endorsed Congressman Rodney Davis. And here's what Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell had to say about the idea of more gun control when it comes to addressing gun violence.
If you banned them today, and the rest of my life, there'll be guns on the street. You're not going to do any good. There's, I don't know if it's 300 or 400 million guns on the street in the United States of America. You can ban them and it's not going to fix anything. So, and it's also a constitutional right. And I'm very concerned, and I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and that is a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. It's a very slippery slope the minute you start trying to take guns away from anybody. And again, it's the gun is not causing the problem. It is the person. We need to identify the person and take care of them.
So again, that's just some of the spectrum across all levels of government, from the president down to the sheriff, as to what should possibly be done about gun violence. And this is obviously something that's going to be a very heated topic heading into the November election.